Okay, so now let's start. My name is Yiming Chen, and I'm from OriginLab technical support team. And I'm very glad that I can share you with today's webinar topic on publishing graphs. So before we start, I am gonna show you our upcoming webinars. So if you come to our web page and go to support and training webinars, you will see the upcoming webinars. So in this afternoon, we will have another webinar on working with images. So if it's related to your research area, just don't forget to come and join us. And if you click View All here, you will see a list of all the upcoming webinars all the way until the end of August. So please check this list and see if any topics is interest to you and come to join us. Okay, so next thing is during the webinar, if you have any questions, just please put on the Q&A panel. Our colleagues will help to answer your questions. And at the end of this webinar, we will launch a poll and asking you for feedbacks. So just stop for a while at the end of the webinar to give us feedbacks. Thank you. Okay, so now let's start today's webinar. And today I'm going to talk about the publishing graphs in Origin. So so let me bring up the outliers. So in the first part of this webinar, I'm going to talk about some tips of like organizing the plots in the graph and managing the layers in a graph. And next, I will talk about the master page, which is a feature of Origin, which you can use a pre-designed template as the background of your graph before export. And then I will talk about some thing related to like animations, making videos from your worksheets, things of that. Later, I will focus more on the exportation of graphs. Okay, so now let's start from the first topic, plot management. Okay, before going to other the topics, I'm going to just talk a little bit about the concepts of graphs in Origin. So in Origin, we have multiple different types of windows. So we have a workbook window, matrix book window, note window like this one, and also we have this graph window. So the graph window is like a container of graphs. It can hold multiple layers, and each layer can have multiple plots. Okay, so if you look at the graph, it has this kind of like a hierarchical structure. Let me move my mouse to the right side and we have this object manager panel. You can see clearly the structure of a graph. And at the top is a page, and it has two layers. And for each layer, it can have one or more curves. Okay. Okay. So then, when user publish the graphs, first they will know how to resize the page. So the page is kind of the canvas where you put your graphs on it. So here is the page setup option here. And this you can set different page size, like a different page type, A4 paper or other types of paper. And you can like set the orientation of the page and click OK. Once you resize the page, you will see the layer will get resized automatically. Right? Let me bring this back. Okay, we'll just go back to the portrait, and the letter is fine. Okay. Okay. So if you want to manually specify the size of the page, you can double click on the white space of the graph to launch the plot details dialog, and on the left side, select the page level, And on the right side here, you can specify the width and the height of the page. Okay. So this is very simple to set the size of the page. And now let's go to the layer. So layer, it also has its size. If we again double click on the layer and to bring up the product details dialog, but in this time is on the layer level. Okay. If we go to the size of the layer, we'll see that you can set the position, like the left and the top of the layer, and the width and the height of the layer. Please pay attention to the unit here. It's now it's set to the percentage of page, which means the layer size will change according to the page size. So that's why you see when I resize the page, then the layer size gets changed like automatically. Okay. Okay. Next thing is to resize layer is very simple. You can even like drag your mouse to resize the page, resize the layer. Okay. One thing you notice that is the font size is also changed with the layer size. Okay. I will show you one thing here. If you select the like tick label and you go all the way down and see at the status bar, there are two numbers, 20 and 8. So the 20 here is the set size of the font, and the number within the bracket is the actual size. So when you resize the layer, the font size will get rescaled as well. But what we can do is, if you don't want to change the font size when you resize the layer, you can double click the layer and go to the size, and you can fix the element scale. Okay. If I this way, then if I resize the layer, the font size and all other elements of the graph will not change as well. Okay. Also, you can move the layer around. For example, I want to align the two layers horizontally. And if you move the layer outside the page, we can choose this mini toolbar button, fit page to layers. It will resize the page to cover all the elements in this graph. So okay, let's see next thing. Link layer. Okay, so you see that when I resize one layer, it will not affect the other layer, but we can link the second layer to the first, so that to resize one layer, the other layer will also get resized. Let me double click on the layer and go to link axis scale tab and link to layer 1. Okay, apply. Then I go back to the size of this layer setting, and here units, I can set it to the percentage of linked layer. Okay, let's see what happened if I set this way. You will see the other layer, its position and its size will like adjusted accordingly with the first layer. Okay, let's just let you know. Okay, and now we come to the font. The font size of this graph. I can use the mini toolbar to increase the font. Okay, I can click this button, apply format to. I can apply the font format to all the tick labels on this page. Okay. And we also have this nice font changer app. Okay. The app is a feature in Origin that we introduced in recent versions. You can click this Add Apps button to download apps. Yeah, just to show you. If I click this button, it will launch a dialog. It will list all the apps we have. You can click anyone to download it. Okay. So now I use this font changer app. If I want to, for example, I want to increase the size of all the text on this page, I will simply select all, and you can select a font and change to a different size and click preview. Oh, it's too small, and we can create a copy of this page with adjust the font size. Okay. Again, I just forget to fit the page to the layer. You can always do this to, to fit all the layers within the page. Okay. Next, I'm going to show you add plot. So Origin have like over 200 plot types. So making a plot or making a graph is simple. You select data in a worksheet, then select a plot type to make a graph. But sometimes user already created a plot in the graph, and he wants to add plot to the graph. This question is always being asked by users. So here I will just show you multiple ways to add a plot. So let's bring up these two. So for example, I have this graph with United States map as a background. I want to add data onto it. Okay, the simplest way is just to move your mouse to the edge of the column and just drag it onto the page. Okay, then the data is added to the graph. Okay, let me show you another example. Box book box graph. This time, okay, if I select the box, it will show the data range that you used to make the box plot. Okay, so now apparently the box is plotted from first column. So I want to add the other columns into this graph. Okay, so let me show you a different way. So I select the other 5 columns, and I can press the Shift key to bring up this mini toolbar, and it has this button called Copy for Plotting. Okay, then I go to the graph and just use the Control V to paste the graph, paste the plot. Okay, so you see this boxes are added, but they are of different format. That's because they are grouped, and the first box is excluded from the group. So what I can do is I first ungroup all the other boxes, then I choose the first one, then I set this as a group begin. This will just group all the data, all the boxes in the graph. Okay, now the format are like uniform. Okay, let me show you next example. Okay, this is always asked by users, like how to add like unbalanced arrow bars. So before start, I have this scatter plot. This is plotted from the column A and B, and sometimes user want to add a plus X arrow and a minus X arrow, as well as a plus Y arrow and a negative Y arrow bars onto his data. Okay, again, I can select all the arrow columns, then copy and go to the plot and Control V to paste. Then I can simply turn off, just leave the plus Y arrow, and also for the X, I just want the minus X arrow here, and sorry, leave the plus X arrow here, and also another, let's see, maybe this one, okay. The minus Y arrow, okay. Okay, so this way you can set like unbalanced arrow bars on the scatter plot. Okay. Okay, let's go to our next example, move plot. Okay, so if you have like a multiple graphs and you want to move the plots from one graph to the other, here's example to show you. So this is a bar plot. If I select its bar on the plot, you can see which column in the worksheet is used to make this plot, right? Okay, so here I have the also have the mean and the standard deviation of each row here. Okay, I want to add these to the plot. Okay, so first let me make a graph. Okay, let me make some adjustment on the graph. Okay, maybe I can choose a different arrow color, and I will connect the arrow bars. Use a spline. Okay, use a pink color. Okay, let's see, and I will fill the area under the curve. Okay, this is good enough. So I'm going to move this plot from one graph to the other. Okay, I just want to put it on top of the bar plot. So I can select the plot and click copy plot and go to this bar plot and Control V again. It's very simple to move the plot from one to the other. Okay. Let me show you another example. Okay, so here I have the time series of the price of stock. Okay, there's a 3 indices here. Let me plot them first. Okay, it's apparently that the 3 curves are they have different range of y values. Okay, one thing you may think of is I want to move the second plot to a different y-axis. Okay, we can do this in Object Manager. Let me. Okay, so let me first select the second plot, right-click, and here you find this option: Move plot to second y-axis. Okay, I can repeat that for the third curve. I can go to move to other layer. This time I'm going to target layer 3. Okay. Okay, I have to first create the layer. So to the right side toolbar here, I can add a right Y layer. Okay. Then I can move plot to other layer. Invalid graph layer. Let's see. Yeah, let me try this one. So you can also drag the curve, okay, to the other layer. Okay, should also work. And we can adjust the curve a little bit. So I can hold on the Shift key and use hold on the Shift and the Z key and use mouse to zoom in and zoom out the curve vertically, and use the Shift key and X key with mouse scroll to move it up and down. Okay, I can repeat that for the second curve. Yeah, this is just a small trick that you can use to align the graph, align the curve on the graph. Okay. Let me show you next example, layer management. Okay, here I have this graph. This is plotted from one workbook. First of all, I'm going to duplicate this graph with the data of other workbooks. So maybe you already know that I can use this duplicate batch plotting method. And I can choose other workbooks in this folder. Click OK. Okay, now I have 4 graphs. Next, I'm going to merge the 4 graphs so that they are in one graph page. Here is a button merge graphs. Okay. Yeah, I will show you like more details of the set of each settings. Okay, first of all, I will select the graphs. So I'm going to select all 4 graphs, right? So I select all in active folder. Okay. Then I'm going to arrange the graphs. I want 4 of them to be stacked vertically. So I will have 4 rows and 1 columns. Okay. And then I will check some of these boxes. So here's a keep layer aspect ratio. Yeah, I just show you. If you check this, it will keep the height and width ratio. But we don't want. We want it to be stretched to fill the page. Okay, so I can if you have multiple layers of each graph, the better to not check this one. So the entire graph will be used in the merge. Okay. I can link to the source graph. If I check this one, then the original graph will be removed after the merging. And I can also check this one to set layer height by common scale. So now the layer height will be according to the scale. Okay, you have a larger scale, then you get a higher layer. Okay, and you can also add the axis frame. Okay, axis frame. Okay, you can also set the gaps between the graphs. For example, I set the vertical gap to be 0. Then the vertical gap, there's no vertical gaps. Then you can also set the size of the page, and also the font size. Okay, so right now it's set to auto, and if I want to make the font smaller, I can set it to fixed factor, and I just reduce the factor, like let's say 0.8. Okay, that's good enough. Okay. Then last one is add label. We can add a label for each layer. Let's say custom. Okay. And you can put a different position. Right now it's A, B, C, D is outside the layer. I can set it to top left inside. Okay. And put a bracket. Okay. And click OK. Okay, so this is the final result. Some extra labels, title, we can remove it. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go to our next example, insert layer. Okay, so here I have like 3 layers in the graph. I'm going to make another graph with this workbook and insert that layer into this empty place. Okay, so let me first highlight this worksheet and select all and make a line plot. You can use this button to make a line plot. Then I'm going to format this graph based on the graph already made. So I can copy the format of this graph by right-click the layer. Okay, select the layer, make sure, and right-click and copy format. And let's say I will copy all format and right-click and paste. Okay. Then to copy the layer over, I just Control-C on the layer, then go here and Control-V. Okay. Let me move it here. I can resize the layer. If I want to set the same size of the layer to this one, I can select this one first, then select the next one. Then I go all the way to right, and here has this button, uniform width and uniform height. Okay, and I can like align the two as well. I go here and align left and select this one and this one, and okay, now the graph the layers are all aligned well. Okay. Next thing is if I have like a 3D graph. So if I want to add a 3D graph into this layer, so there's this method should not cannot work because this only works for 2D layer. Okay, let me first delete this one, and I make let's say 3D waterfall plot. Okay. Okay, so I want to add this 3D graph into this empty place. I have to right click on this title bar and select copy page. Okay. Then come here and Control V. So the 3D graph will be copied over as an image. Okay. So it's a little bit different than like a copy, like a 2D layer over. So you have to copy copy the 3D graph as an image and put into a graph page. Okay. Okay, now let's go to layer management. So in last example, I showed you how to resize and align the layers one at a time. So here we have 3 layers. Definitely they are not very well aligned and sized. So I can use the layer management tool in Origin to to manage all 3 layers together. Okay, let's go to graph and go to layer management. Okay, so it launched this dialog. Let's first go check the left side. I have layer 1, and the layer 2 and the layer 3 is linked to layer 1. So as I told you at the beginning, that you can set the linkage between the graph layers so that you can size them, resize them, and position them, with a relative position to the first layer. Okay, so let me go to the size and the position tab. So first of all, if I want to have the second and the third layer to be of the same size as the first one, I can shift select all the 2 layers. Then I go to resize, and yeah, you see here the unit is set to the percentage of a reference layer of layer 1, of course. So let's say width is 100, and the height is also can also set to 100, and click apply. Okay, the size are adjusted. Then we can click the move. So for the position, I have to adjust it individually. So let me first select layer 2, and I can so let me set left to 0, so it will left aligned, and the top to 100. Okay, let's see. It will be put right below the first layer. Okay, let's repeat that for layer 3. Okay, left is 0 and the top. So this time it has to be 200% of the layer size. Okay, so now they are aligned well. Okay, so here we also have this option swap. If we want to like switch the position of the second and the third layer, you can use this swap option. Okay, you set the second and the third graph to be switched. Okay. And if we want to add some gaps between layers, I can go to arrange. Here I can set it to again the vertical layer, vertical gap. I can set it to some value. Okay, looks nice. Then I can click OK. So now the layers of the graph are like well organized. Okay. Let's go to the next example, master page. So now here we have this nice correlation plot, and in Origin we can add a background to this graph. So you can put like the company logo, you can put some images, you can put like timestamps as a background to the graph. So here we have this feature. You can go to File and New and click Master Page. It will ask you whether to create the master page in the root folder. Let me just click yes. Okay, let me open this up a little bit. Okay, so here like the element on this template can be adjusted. So I can increase just resize the image, and yes, something you can do to make it to edit this master page. Yeah, I just make it colorful. Okay, here if you read here, the graph long name is I can put the graph long name. This is what we call the LabTalk substitution notation. Yeah, if you don't know what that is, you can go check our webinar on LabTalk scripting to uh, to learn that. So I can put it here. So what this do it is it will put the graph long name, the text here. Okay, make sure I need to come to this programming, and the substitution level will set to 1. Okay, now it will show the long name of this graph. Okay, okay, then if we go back to our target graph, and you will see um, these elements are added to the graph, but it's not editable. You can't click these elements to adjust it. You have to go back to this master page. Yeah, let me put this a little bit. Okay. So here the layer indicator, I can turn that off by click this button. Okay. So if you don't want the master page to be as a background, you can double click on the page, go to the plot details, and go to, I think it's a display, and no, let's see, under okay, I'm sorry, it's a use master items. You can uncheck this box to turn off the master display. Okay. Another thing I'm going to mention is the master page only applies to specific graph size. So because when I launched the master page, I was targeting to this graph. If I, for example, change the graph size a little bit, the master page will be gone. Okay, so it only applies to certain graph page size. Okay, let me go back to, sorry, let me close the master page so that it will not affect other of my graphs. Now let me go to other topic, graph animation. Okay, so here I will going to show you a nice app. Called graph animation. So so this app can be used to animate the graph, to save to a GIF file, or save to a video file that you can embed that into a presentation software. So let's see how I can do that. So just first activate the graph, then click this app animation tool. Here let me just change some of the settings and see the effect. So animation order, I just check sequential. effect can just draw, and I can use a different pen. Okay, then I can click this preview button to see the effect. See how the graph is being drawn on the graph. Okay, I can let's see, can change to a different effect. So um, so here I set minimum. I will let the plot 2 to be plotted from plot 1, and plot 3 to be plotted from 2, and etc. And see how that works. Okay, let me click preview again. See, it will show this nice effect. So once you are satisfied with the this result, you can save it to a file. Let me just go to Graph Publishing Webinar and give it a name. Okay. Just click OK to save the file. Okay, so if I go to this folder and the GIF is generated, so to check the effect, you simply just show it in a web browser, and you will see this effect. Okay. Yeah, you can also show some effect for this contour map as well. I just click preview. Okay. If you right click on this app and select open file exchange page, you will see all the effects, all other like animation effects on all types of graphs. Then you can just take a look. It's a fun app. You can play around with it. Okay. Let me go to our next example. Make a video. Okay. So here I have this line plot, which is plotted from column B. And I also added this reference line, denote the highest peak of this curve. Okay. I can change the plot to change the Y to other column. You will see if I change the plot to the second column, it will show that you will see the legend is changing, and the peak height is also changing. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I want to navigate all the columns in the worksheet, and make each column to update this graph, and use that to make a graph or make a video. Okay. So let me this time I'm going to use the movie creator app. Okay, so this time, so here you have different options. You can have a point or a curve to show, and you can select different data plot. So this is our case, like we choose different column to update the data plot on the graph. Okay, so you can also update the graph with a different worksheet. Okay. So again, I will save the video to let's say animation 2. Okay. You can choose here the graph type. Actually, the graph type is selected from here. Okay. And I will make the dimension of the graph video. Let's change it to a smaller value. Okay, let me click OK. Okay, it takes some time. Okay, so let me go to this graph publisher folder, and you can, yeah, I just simply play this video, and you can see how this video looks like. The not just the curve is updated. You see the peak position is also updated, and the legend is also updated. Okay. Okay. Now let me go to next example, graph exportation. Okay. So uh, here is the one thing. So once you finished editing your graph, so take this one as example. The graph may not be centered in the page, and the page size may be too large. And one thing we can do is which is also I always do is to fit the page to the layer. Okay, I have shown you before that you can use this mini toolbar button, fit page to layers, and to let's see. So now the page size page is resized to cover all the elements in the layer. Okay. Another thing is if you don't want to change the size of the page, you want to change the size of the layer to fit to the page. We have a different option. So here we have graph. In this case, we can fit layers to page. So once I select choose this option, the layer will be positioned at the center of the page. Okay. So this is like two different options. Like one is fix the layer and fit page to layer, and the other is fix the page but instead to position the layer at the center of the page. Okay, another thing I'm going to show you is okay. So let me first okay. Here is another mini toolbar button called window view. Okay, let me choose window view. So if I choose the window view, when I resize the window size, you will see the graph page will get resized accordingly. This is one way that you can use to resize your page. And once you are satisfied with the page's like shape or size, you can click this update page dimension. Okay. Now you see the page is resized. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about the export margin offset. Let me just first go back to the initial setting. So by default, if I export the graph like this, it will export the entire page. So it will leave this large margin on the exported graph. Here is one setting called export margin offset. So if I go to here, export margin offset, it will add a green frame to this graph. What it does is it can control the exported graph area. I can use this to put a frame on the graph. So when I export the graph, only the area within this frame will be exported. Okay, so we can check that a little bit later. So you see now this white area will be exported, but the gray area will not. Okay, now let's see how we can export a graph. Go to File and go to Export Graphs. Open dialog. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to click this auto preview button. Okay, so now you can see that only this small region of the page will get exported. And I can choose a different graph type. So we support the vectorized graph type like PDF, EPS, and EMF, and etc. And we also support the raster image file, like a like a PNG and a JPG. Okay, so let me select a PDF, and by default it will export the active page to the graph. So here are other options. You can choose different scope to find the graphs. So I will just show you this specified. So you can specify which graphs you want to export. So notice here there is a little button on the right side. If you click this, well, it will open this graph browser window, and you can select graphs you want to export. Yeah, just select a couple of them and add to right and click OK. So the graphs will be listed here, okay? And if I export as a PDF, you have this option to save into like one PDF file with multiple page or just multiple PDF files. Okay, I will just export to multiple files, and I can use the graph long name as the file name. Okay, I just keep all the others as it is and click OK. Um, okay. So let's see again. Okay, it's saved under the user files folder. Okay. Yeah, the graphs are exported here. Okay, just to show you. Okay. So sometimes people want to embed the graph into like a Word file. Here's a simple way to do so. If you have this graph and right-click on the title bar and select copy page, then you can go to your Word file. See, and just write just a Control V to paste the graph. So this way, the graph in Origin will copy it over as an object in Word. And what is nice about this is that you can edit the graph in Word file. So you not just get an image, you get the graph as well as the data behind the image. Okay, so it takes some time. Okay, so you can double click on the graph to launch Origin. Okay, what is nice about this is you can still get the data. You right click on the graph and you can create the worksheet. Okay, and you can also make some change to the graph, change the color and yeah, thickness, and simply close this origin. The graph will get updated in your Word file. Okay, yeah, this is a very convenient to edit the graph in the future. Okay, next I will show you how to send the graphs to PowerPoint slides. We have this app called Send Graphs to PowerPoint. If I just click this, okay, it launches this dialog. I can specify the graph to be sent, specified. Again, I just choose a couple of graphs. Okay, the graphs are listed on the left side. And you can still, if you don't like it, you can still delete it. Okay. And here you can, in the middle, you can specify the region in the slide, in the PowerPoint slide where you want to position the graph. I will just center it. Okay. Yeah, so you can play around with this tool. For now, I will just keep the default settings and click send. So it will launch a PowerPoint and put the graph in it. Okay, and you can. This is also like copied over as an object, and as I show you in the Word, you can double click it to make more adjustment. Okay. Okay, now let's go to next example, Graph Publisher app. Okay, so here is another another app that you need to download if you want to take a look. Graph Publisher. So it has two options: general export. If I click this, this is like a simplified version of a graph export tool. So you can make just simple settings like the graph type, the resolution of the graph, and set a graph name, and set a size of graph. Then you click export, then the graph will get exported. And you can also click this advanced export button to launch this giant graph export tool to make more adjustment. Okay. What I'm going to show you is this one, export for publication. This is a more useful tool. Okay, let me click this. Okay, so first of all, here you can select from the job list of the journal name that you want to submit the graph to. Okay, so let me just select APS. Okay, so you will see that the page size, it has some requirement. It will show here for that journal, and it will automatically resize your graph to fit this requirement. Okay, just click apply and go to next page. At this page, it will check the font size. If any setting is not properly is not proper, that will give you like fail marker here. Okay, you can simply click apply to make the changes. So now all these requirements are fulfilled, and you are good to go. Okay, then let's go to next page. Again, there's a plot, like the line borders. You also can adjust the thickness manually. When I click apply, so this requirement is met, and I click apply. Okay. And then you can also set the margin as well. And again, you set the resolution and the file name path to export the graph. Okay. So this app hopefully is useful for you to customize your graph to meet the requirement of the journal. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I think this is the end of this webinar today. And so before you leave, we will launch a poll. So please give us feedbacks, and hopefully the tips and also some concepts of origin graph today I introduced to you will be helpful for your daily work. And also please send us questions that we can help you to check further. So thank you for attending this webinar, and don't forget that we have another webinar this afternoon about processing the images in Origin. So please come and join us.